this story, our friends at Strain Print put us on to this James Beard nominated chef, cookbook author, sales leader, philanthropist, papa, and husband. Please welcome to our program, Chef Jordan Wagman.
Thank you.
Look at you.
Thank you.
You're a nice boy. You're a nice boy.
My mom tells me so.
What, and currently you're not working at a specific restaurant, but you've been in the business a long time. This isn't easy to do.
Very long, very long. I love it. You have to love it. I speak to people all the time, young professionals, young kids I work with kids transitioning out of foster care who seem to be drawn to this industry, and I make it very clear to them what they're in for. I earn $7.50 an hour, 40 hours a week. I worked probably 80 to 100, but it's just the only way to climb the ranks.
You know, that restaurant business is a lot like the radio business. A lot of people are attracted to it. A lot of young people come out of school and they go, oh, that seems like a fun, shiny thing to do. And then as our experience has shown us, you know, not everyone wants to get down in the weeds for the months, the years, the going to work in small towns to sacrifice the same way you do in the restaurant.
Or you're working when most people aren't.
That is exactly right. That is exactly right.
Is there anything more stressful? You know, I've often thought this about, especially a chef with a reputation or those gaining a reputation, stressful then when you're preparing something, really you only have one shot at it, and then you put it in front of people and you're judged like nightly, daily.
Immediately too.
Yeah.
Immediately. And there's instant gratification on the flip side.
Right.
So which is what drew me to cooking originally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, food is just very subjective, and you will not please everyone. But I'm very specific in my target now. You know,
right.
So all of my food now is gluten, dairy, and sugar free. Besides all of the THC and CBD component.
I want to talk to you about that in a second, about how removing those things and the effect it can have on a person's body. Obviously, you know, when we were younger, no one had ever heard of a gluten-free diet or dairy-free, whatever. But I want to talk a little bit about your time in the restaurant business and what Fred just touched on, the stress of pumping out. You know, especially when you get a reputation. They go, well, I came to your restaurant because I heard you were James Beard nominated. Then, as you just said, you have one shot. This plate comes out in front of me, and if it doesn't meet my expectations, all of a sudden now I'm wanking about, it didn't. Yet, you know, I don't know it. Maybe your sous chef didn't come in that day, or, you know, somebody misplaced a thing, and it just was a series of, but it's just that one time.
So, you know, the misconception is that we're actually cooking your food. When you come to my home today, I am cooking your food. I'm picking the flowers, I'm chopping the herbs, I'm doing absolutely everything stem to stern. But in the restaurant business, that's just not the case. You are as good as that $10 an hour line cook. You are as good as that guy or woman, coming in and earning their $14 an hour and putting in 60-hour work weeks. And if they're tired or have an off day, and your steak is overcooked, that reflects me. It reflects and that's why I don't really let a whole lot of people touch my food these days.
So, and when you're in an environment like that, a situation in a restaurant, it's people may come with super high expectations,
without question,
and that can affect it too, because it could be a great meal, but their expectations were so crazy, they're waiting to taste something that might not exist.
So it's funny because, you know, and I always sort of bring it back to today, where when people come to my restaurant, which is my home, and they know that they're coming for something that is gluten, dairy, and sugar-free, they have very little expectations. They're like, what am I going to have for dessert? Right. And then I blow their mind with an ice cream or chocolate or.
But you're doing, so let's jump to what you're doing now, because I'm assuming that when you say your restaurant is your home, you're doing catering. I don't even know what that category is called. Is it special event?
It's so
creation.
Let me sort of explain why I do what I do, because I grew up with psoriasis. At 13, I was diagnosed with psoriasis. It impacted my entire existence, from living in a tent at the Dead Sea for an entire year, tanning naked every day with the Danes in a solarium. I wrote every high school exam in the hospital as an inpatient and sick kids in Sunnybrook. And until I went and sought the help of a naturopath 5 years ago, I was suffering. And it didn't matter where I lived and how often I cooked, and it didn't matter playing guitar and singing. There was no outlet that really made me healthier. When I realized that by removing some of these ingredients from my diet, that it would impact my skin, I really was skeptical. Within 30 days, I had dropped, 60 days, I had dropped 30 pounds. My psoriasis almost completely went away, and I was a changed person.
Wow.
How long? 30?
30 to 60 days.
Wow.
And so now it's 5
And
years.
that's after a lifetime of searching for relief or clues or ideas.
Absolutely.
What you described about that solarium. I have a friend who's got a mild case of psoriasis, and he has to do that. He has a
tanning bed.
a tanning bed in his office because it's the only thing that takes down the, I guess it's the inflammation.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my question. That diet, gluten-free, dairy-free,
Sugar-free. Yep.
it impacted your psoriasis because of the reduction in inflammation.
Correct.
Will that work in inflammation in general?
So, I always preface medical discussions with, I don't play a doctor on TV.
Yeah.
My experiences are my own. So I speak from a personal
Just understand,
standpoint.
I'm a physician. I
Right.
got my degree from Google. And you can speak freely as a fellow medical
Fair enough. Thank
colleague.
you. Thank
Yes,
you.
go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. So there's not a day that goes by that I don't speak with someone who suffers with another autoimmune, whether it be psoriasis, Crohn's, and looking for help.
Eczema
For sure. People are looking for ways to drop the inflammation or lower the inflammation. So if you actually, if you think about it, when we talk about the use of CBDs, for example,
Yes.
edibles were created, and I brought you a gift.
Yeah.
But edibles were created because people needed to stimulate their appetite, and they didn't want to smoke or couldn't smoke. But we're feeding people that need to lower their inflammation a bunch of edibles complete with sugar. So sugar is driving the inflammation up, and you're feeding them CBDs to drive it down. It's counterintuitive. It really doesn't make much sense. So what I do is now I create different foods. My food doesn't change because there's a CBD or THC component. It's just buying the best ingredients, doing very little to them, and serving them. So I made you some chocolates. So this is what I serve. These are actually THC. There's 1.5 milligrams per, very small dosage, but it's clean. There's only 2 ingredients in there.
So at 1.5 milligrams of THC,
Yes.
which is a very tiny amount,
Yes.
would that get you high at all, or would just get you?
No. So the reason.
Well, let's gobble up some. Come on.
The reason that I keep these very low is that people can self-medicate. People can take, if they're not used to taking, I know that I could have 10, 20 of those without problem.
I'm gonna have one.
If somebody
You want
comes
one?
in and they're not used to medicating,
Yeah.
I need them to feel comfortable that they're not going to take 10 milligrams and go over
So
the
one
edge.
is going to be virtually
Nothing.
nothing.
So all
For a
those
user.
all those years you suffered, obviously you went to doctors and this was recommended, that was recommended. What does your doctor, or the ones that you were prescribed other stuff, what do they say that you've literally cured? Would you say cured?
It's tough to use that word.
Okay.
I don't. I live comfortably.
You did that through your own research
Correct.
and diet when
Correct.
you were probably prescribed pills, medications, and
And as a result of the medications that I was on when I was a kid, most of my career was in the U.S. and I couldn't even get health insurance in the U.S.
Right.
Because
of
of
the
your
damage.
condition,
No, because of the damage that the medicines that I took caused on my body,
Yeah.
plus the pre-existing condition.
Although I had to smile when you said you're comfortable. I mean, really, to a lot of people when they ask Glassman or Wagman, how you doing? We all say, yeah, we're comfortable.
Yeah, I'm comfortable.
so what do they say, or have they said, or have you had those conversations?
All the time.
Yeah.
So you alluded to light beds. I still go for UVB treatment. It does bring down the inflammation. I go to my doctors all the time. Dr. Neild, she actually, her mind is blown when she looks at me. And to please, I don't want to misrepresent my situation. I have flare-ups, but just like when I fight with my wife, now it's, we recover much quicker because of all the therapy we go through.
Well, sure.
So my body is used to recovering.
And as long as you're feeding her a steady dose of this THC, she'll be like, I just feel really good about Jordan. I don't know
right.
why.
Yeah, not all the time, my friend.
But that is remarkable. And a lot of self-discipline, right? Because it's one thing to say I got to change my diet, and it's another thing to do it.
It's a hard thing for people to understand that it's very easy to do. It is very daunting to think that, holy smokes, I can't eat this or I can't eat this. That's not my approach to food. When people come over, I blow their mind. I have had the privilege of working with some incredible chefs in my lifetime, and I apply all of what I've learned to those meals. I buy the best ingredients. I know my farmers. I know the people who are making the cheeses, which are goat and sheep. Those I can digest much easier, so I don't mind including those. But I know my supply chain, and I do very little to those, and I serve them. Nobody leaves my house saying, that was a great meal, but I really miss the butter, or I really miss the dairy.
How do people? JordanWagman.com is how you get a hold of Jordan. And is it one of the? I mean, I don't. When you keep saying your home, it's hard for me to get my head around the idea that. So you just have a business where somehow I go on the website, I book a night at Jordan's. Do you tell your wife you're having people over?
So yes.
Or?
So it's an interesting model. I have a colleague, Rebecca Shapiro.
Rebecca.
She manages my culinary life, and we're partners in this venture. So I realized. What I didn't have, and this is an interesting thing when you go to culinary school and you're not taught about business, right? And now all these chefs are running businesses. I had no right to run a business when I was a chef. 17 years later, now that's why it says I'm a sales leader. I'm director of sales in a family business at the Accurate Group. And so I apply everything that I learn in business to food. I realized that I didn't want a brick and mortar. I didn't want to open up a place. Who wants to sign themselves up for something like that? It's awful. We spoke to that earlier.
And the mortality rate of those.
Right, exactly. So I decided to just, when we renovated our home, I was going to renovate my home to make it conducive to having 12 stools around my island. My range is right in my island, so I don't have to turn around. I cook everything. I plate everything. It's a shelf's table. That's what I've created.
And I was going to say, people love that. When they get a chance to go to a fine dining restaurant, and you get to book the chef's table inside the kitchen.
Correct.
So is the Chef Jordan's place busy every night?
We are booked we are booked through August.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, life is fun. I mean, we only do it because it's fun.
How many nights a week would you be doing?
Only one.
Oh, wow.
Only one night a week.
And 12 people.
No, we go to, so our friends at Strain Print, for example, we're doing a party for them. So we're going to have 25 people.
Nice.
So it's more of a party than it is a chef's table experience for that type of environment.
Is there an option that you would come to my house, or do you not do
There
that?
There is, absolutely. But when I go...
Would you go to his basement? Because that's really a very... Actually, likes to stay.
Actually, I wasn't putting that spin on it. I was actually. Would you go to someone's house?
I do. I am very selective because the environment has to be conducive to what it is that I can do.
Give us a sample before we let you go, because I'm fascinated. Dairy-free, gluten-free, sugar-free, infused with THC if needed, CBD for sure.
You got it.
So walk us through. Like, are we having roast chicken and potatoes?
Great question.
With some leeks? I know a lot of chefs put leeks in things.
And wild leeks are in season right now.
Wild?
So
these leeks are wild.
So I actually have some wild leeks for my event on Saturday.
Nice.
We had an incredible infused dinner a couple weeks ago. Kitchen Toke magazine. If you're not familiar with them, they're awesome.
Who's they?
And Kitchen Toke is my friend Jolene out in Chicago. I've published a couple recipes in there. It's a quarterly publication.
Kitchen Toke.
Kitchen Toke.
Oh.
So it's for the use of CBD and THC for health and wellness in food. Amazing publication. They flew Forbes magazine in about 2 months ago into my home.
To your place.
To my place to do a dinner.
We're at Wagman land.
Yeah, you got it. So we had 11 courses, everything from halibut to lobster quinoa risotto to seared tuna to... We made a flaxseed cracker, which was infused with CBD-infused sesame oil.
Nice.
And this flax cracker has all of one ingredient. Other than the CBD sesame oil, it has, I lied, water and flax seeds. That is really what I do. It's taking the simplest of ingredients and doing very little to them.
Amazing.
So it's 11 different courses, and we did THC chocolate ice cream. I did these chocolate truffles. I mean,
which
really,
were very tasty, by the way.
Thank you. And you get the bitterness on the outside from the raw cacao and the sweetness from the maple syrup. That's the sweetener that I use in those.
Now, he and I It's become the stuff of legends on this show. A couple months ago, went out for a dinner together with our women people. We don't see gender. I think they're human beings.
Humans.
Jordan. With our humans, and it was quite expensive. And he had a lobster risotto
For two.
that was $225.
It's obscene.
It was obscene.
That's obscene.
Exactly.
Don't get me started on
so-
the prices.
Yeah, the prices were absurd.
It's
Now, without revealing, would dinner at Jordan's be less than that?
so less than your one course.
Yes,
of
one
lobster.
course of lobster.
So I'm happy
risotto.
to share. So for a non-infused dinner, it's $110 a person. And
Amazing.
for infused dinners, it's $225. There is no alcohol included. Everyone brings their own.
Beautiful. Well, next time let's go to Jordan's.
So it's really, everyone goes out and they spend an obscene amount of money.
Yeah.
You come to my home, no one's kicking you out. No one's telling you that table has a 10 o'clock reservation. You can stay all night. You asked about my wife, whether she knows. My wife and my kids, they curse me on these evenings. But you know what? It's either this or Daddy buys a restaurant.
Yeah.
So this is my
Beautiful.
This is what I love to do.
All right.
No, fantastic. And I mean, that's an experience too, going to your house. Where we went that night wasn't so much of an experience because it was like any other high-end restaurant
Right.
you've walked into, right? Right. I like the idea of your.
Well, come sometime.
Well, I tell you,
Love to have you.
that's a pretty bold thing to do, though, having people at your home. I mean, that part would be because how do you tell them to get out?
Oh, I'm good at it.
Because
I'm really good at
my
it.
thing is, if I have people at my home, the first thing I do after I welcome you is I give you a number as to when you're supposed to leave.
Plus, do you have a dog barking every
No,
time?
no dog.
Or sitting at your feet looking up
I
at
just
you?
have Rebecca. Rebecca's my
Okay.
muscle. Rebecca.
all right, well.
You know what? People come, they stay as long as they like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would not work for me.
Yeah.
At Glassman's restaurant, it would be like, yeah, come on over at around 8:30. I'm gonna be shutting this thing down.
If we go to Jordan's, I'll take a sleeping bag.
You should. That'll be great. That'll be great. The kids will wake up in the morning. You'll be like snoring in the den.
Hey, breakfast is just as good at my
I
house.
bet.
Yeah. The kids will be like, Daddy, why is that old man snoring? Hey, everyone, go to jordanwagman.com. Thanks to our friends at Strainprint for introducing us to Jordan. What a story, man. Find out more, jordanwagman.com. Book him. Have him go to his place. Rebecca will be there. Everyone's going to hang out. Afterwards, you play charades and stuff, and it's all a great time.
Absolutely.
You play. You have like, should I bring my karaoke machine? We can all sing.
Are you
We have
around?
lots of guitars.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Are you right downtown?
Christy and St. Clair.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, listen, this has been great. I think.
Yeah.
Did you have a good time?
I always have a good time. But next time I'll sing. I'll just break out into song.
Do it. Yeah.
Spoken
Yep.
word.
Yeah.
Do some of your rap.
Break out into song. Just don't break out. Okay?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
You got
Yes.
it. Thanks so much for having me.
Have you done any cool songs about psoriasis?
You know what? I have not, but that might be my next
time you
one.
come in, think, hey, here's a song about things that rhyme with psoriasis. Very few do.
Exactly.
But one of them is this. All right. Jordan, there he is. Nice boy.
Thanks for
He's a
having me.
nice boy.